Hello everyone, this is Pico Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you, and we're going to talk about Black Widow and the recent breaking news from certain reports stating that lead actress Scarlett Johansson has filed a lawsuit against Disney. Now the dispute here is that Johansson is claiming a breach of contract, that she's being denied box office bonus payments due to the declining box office of Black Widow, which was seemingly caused by the movie being released simultaneously on theatres and the Disney Plus streaming platform. This is in keeping in many ways in what I and many others have stated about the issue of the day and date streaming model and how it takes away business theatrically from movies. Now, Johansson's contract, when she signed, included the guarantee that the movie would have a wide theatrical release. But the lawsuit is claiming tortious interference from Disney, that they released the movie on a streaming platform for their own advantages, which is true. You know, when we saw the simultaneous release for the Disney Plus and theatrical release of Black Widow, it was clear that they were using that to promote the Disney Plus service. Now, you'd like to think that this has been ongoing for a certain amount of months now. This didn't just come out of the blue. I'm pretty sure Disney were aware of the ongoing issue in terms of Johansson's contract. And you would have thought that they would have tried to settle this before the movie's release, so that everything is clear and everybody's back on board and there's no dispute going forward. But the interesting part here, according to various articles, is that there was no attempts by Disney to renegotiate Johansson's contract in order to give her a cut of the profits, let's say whatever money they made from the Disney Plus earnings. Now, this is nothing new within the industry. Various actors always have these type of contracts. Normally, they take a lower fixed salary in order for payment on the back end of the profits made from the theatrical release. This is the studio's way of keeping costs down for making the movie. Now, the biggest examples of this was Arnold Schwarzenegger and Daniel DeVito for the Twins movie back in 1988, where they took next to no salary on the front end in order to come up trumps on the back end. Now, they were very successful because the film made over 260 million at the box office, so obviously they got huge payouts from the back end of the profits made by the movie. Now, Jack Nicholson profited hugely from a similar deal from when Batman was released in 1989, and that was a massive success, grossing over 400 million at the box office. So, of course, he would have got a massive back-end payment from all the profits made from that film's overall success. Now, the problem here, of course, is that back-end payments are significantly reduced if the movie goes on a streaming platform, which causes a dent in how well the movie performs at the box office. So, for example, if Black Widow was projected to make 600 million and Scarlett Johansson was guaranteed a certain percentage of that, well, we look at the movie now. I don't think it's going to make 600 million. It currently stands at 380 million so far. Now, it's still due for release in China. There's been no confirmed date as to when that will happen. But even still, it's very unlikely that the movie is going to make around 600 million. So whatever projected percentage was made around that figure, Scarlett Johansson's going to lose out. Now, we did talk about this concern when Warner Brothers made that announcement of pushing their whole 2021 movie slate onto the HBO Max, along with being released simultaneously with theatres. Now, this caused huge outrage amongst many actors and directors who had ongoing contracts with Warner Brothers movies. The first reason being that they were told very late in the game that Warner Brothers was going to make this move, and also because many of them had very similar contracts that Scarlett Johansson did with Black Widow. So the prime example is Gal Gadot. So in terms of the Wonder Woman 1984, which was due for release back in June 2020, and a lot of analysis were projecting that that movie was going to gross close to $1 billion. So Gal Gadot, like Johansson, would have had a similar guarantee in terms of the back end of any profits that were made from that particular movie, especially if it's projected to make $1 billion. Now, according to the Hollywood Reporter, Warner Brothers had to pay over 200 million to actors and directors to compensate them for the money losses from the streaming releases. Now, Wonder Woman 84 wasn't quite the same because we were very much still in the midst of the pandemic and there was no clear sign as to when movies would come back theatrically. Many people were predicting that they may not even come back theatrically. So this is an even worse case because we saw recently with the likes of Godzilla vs. Kong, Mortal Kombat, A Quiet Place Part 2 and also with Fast and Furious, that indeed theatres were making some sort of comeback in terms of being successful. And remember, Black Widow was announced to go on a Disney Plus streaming, I think it was around 3 or 4 months ago, as we were seeing movies making a comeback. So again, it just raises questions as to why Disney didn't really try and resolve this before this announcement and the lawsuit took place. So my overall thoughts on this are very mixed. Now, we could argue that Scarlett Johansson, surely she's got plenty of money, and the fact that Black Widow has been a very signature role for her. She was an established actress before, yes, but the role of Black Widow transformed her into a megastar, and we saw her, having big movies such as Lucy and Ghost in the Shell, of which she received substantial amounts of money. So you would have thought that the working relationship between her, Marvel and Disney would have been very strong throughout the years, and maybe she would have tried to resolve this behind the scenes before taking this lawsuit. But technically, on a contractual basis, she has a right. She has a right to claim any payments that she feels has been denied to her from Marvel making a push to the Disney Plus platform. This is all about contract, and this is all about business. This is why I feel Disney really should have nipped this in the bud a lot sooner. But as stated before, if Disney has indeed avoided any attempts to renegotiate or compensate her like Warner Brothers did for their actors and directors, then that's really bad practice. So I'll talk about Scarlett Johansson having any money, but surely Disney Plus, they've got plenty of money, when they could have just gone to Scarlett Johansson and, for the sake of just resolving this, just giving her a cut of whatever profits were made from the Disney Plus streaming releases, or just said from a future release you can have a certain cut of whatever profits are made from that. Why not? Disney have got mega billions, right? So surely they could have just come to some sort of agreement with Scarlett Johansson and avoided this whole lawsuit in the first place. Now, I think in terms of how each individual entity looks at this overall, I think Scarlett Johansson has got no problems, because she's been the ultimate professional in terms of promoting this movie. She's done all of her interviews. There's been no controversial statements made from her. There's been no reference towards this lawsuit, which would have been going on in the background as she promoted this movie. So she has come across as the consummate professional, and of course her lawyers and her legal team would have encouraged her not to reveal any terms of the dispute whilst promoting the movie, because again, she wants to come across as the ideal professional employee for Disney. But in terms of Disney, I think it does make them look bad, the fact that despite the fact that we don't know all the details, they couldn't come to some sort of resolution in compensating Scarlett Johansson, just like the Warner Brothers did for all of their actors. Right now, Marvel in general tends to be very good in terms of keeping all of their issues behind the scenes. You very rarely have any controversies or disputes that comes out in the media, not like what we have with Warner Brothers, for example, with all the issues going on with Ray Fisher. They seem to be very much of a well-run, tight-knit unit. Now, yes, we could argue that this is more of a dispute with Disney rather than Marvel, because it was Disney that decided to move the movie to Disney Plus, not Marvel. Okay, so that is one thing to consider as well. But they're all together in one unified working relationship: Disney, Marvel Studios, and Scarlett Johansson. So again, I don't know why Disney couldn't have made any bigger steps to resolve this issue. So like I said, it puts them more scrutiny, because all of a sudden people are going to potentially start asking questions. Are Disney as successful in the streaming platform as what they're indicating? Are there further issues with other actors? Because remember, it's not only Scarlett Johansson that may have been guaranteed. I'm pretty sure there are other deals with certain other actors. What about the other cast members? Florence Pugh, David Harbour, Rachel Weisz, Ray Winston. Would they have had similar deals where they guaranteed to get a certain cut of the box office profits? Now, of course, they're not the lead actor in the role, so their share of the pie wouldn't have been as big as Scarlett Johansson's. But I'm pretty sure they may have had similar deals also. So maybe are they disputing this as well? And maybe Scarlett Johansson, because she's the biggest name, maybe she said to the others, well, you know what, I'll fight for all of your cases. I'll go out there, I'll put my name out there, because it will raise more traction if Scarlett Johansson files a lawsuit, and because she's Scarlett Johansson, she's probably the most wealthiest out of the actors, so she could probably afford a lawsuit against a big corporation by Disney. So is she not only fighting for herself, but also fighting for the other actors to get compensated as well? How many other actors within the Marvel movies or any other movie produced by Disney have similar deals as well? Because they also did the Disney Plus streaming platforms from the likes of Milan. So did they have to compensate for all of the actors that participated in Milan, which also underperformed at the box office? What about Jungle Cruise, the recent action adventure starring Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt? That too has been recently released simultaneously on Disney Plus and theatrical release as well. So if that suffers an underperformance, again, Dwayne Johnson, a very highly prolific actor, just like Scarlett Johansson, I'm pretty sure would have had the same similar contractual agreements in terms of the box office performance. So if that box office doesn't perform well, then is he going to have to be compensated for as well? So you see, it raises a lot of questions and puts the company under scrutiny that wasn't needed, when I'm pretty sure they could have just dug into their mega billions and just compensated Scarlett Johansson for any losses within the box office receipts. So what will happen going ahead? I honestly feel that this will get resolved. I don't think it's going to go any too much further. I think maybe this is a last ditch attempt to try and resolve this issue overall, because as I said before, she is contractually obliged to ask for more receipts in terms of her box office payments. So I think Disney will resolve this. They'll do it quietly because they don't want this to dwell on. You know, again, as I mentioned before, the longer this goes on, the more it impacts them as a company, right? It makes them look bad in terms of their overall practices. Scarlett Johansson will be absolutely fine, no worries about it. So this will get resolved. They'll do it quietly in the background, and then they'll just move on as normal. So I'm sure a lot of people who are obviously against Disney, especially with the hand of the Gina Carano, are going to jump on this and perhaps claim that there's civil war, there's factions within the company, which there could be, but I wouldn't go start predicting the fall of Disney yet. You know, I think they've got far too much in terms of their resources and their upcoming projects as well. And again, they'll want to resolve this sooner, because obviously the longer this dispute goes on, it could just damage the overall image, I would say, within the Marvel brand itself. Despite the fact that Scarlett Johansson seemingly is making her last appearance, you don't want this dwelling on and affecting the overall perception of the brand, which could affect the overall performances of the upcoming projects such as Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, and obviously the future movies, Doctor Strange Multiverse Madness, Spider-Man No Way Home as well. So they'll nip this in the bud quickly, I've got no doubt about it, and after a couple of weeks we won't hear anything more about this. Scarlett Johansson move on, and Disney Plus will move on as well. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings on Scarlett Johansson filing a lawsuit against Disney Plus over potential denying of bonuses regarding the box office decline of Black Widow. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Who do you think will come out of this looking better in the long run? Do you think Disney should have tried to resolve this as soon as possible before Scarlett Johansson filed a lawsuit? Did they really attempt to negotiate this deal when they announced the Disney Plus streaming release? Why didn't they do so? Who really made the attempts longer? We can only know, and I guess any future details will come out in the wash in the next upcoming weeks as well. So I will look out for that. And if we get any further developments, then I will, of course, provide coverage on those as well. Please also hit and like those subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay at safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.